Dead Code Diaries.
It was the summer of 1998, in a quiet New Hampshire town, when Eli and Clara Whitmore, 13 and 10 respectively, moved into the old farmhouse their late uncle had left behind. Their mother, Helen, had recently divorced, and with little money, she welcomed the inheritance with open arms. The house was creaky and smelled faintly of dust and old paper. But to the kids, it was an adventure. There were lofts, hidden closets, and a huge, overgrown backyard where they played tag and hunted for bugs. Everything was fine until it rained. One stormy night, the power flickered out. Their mother lit candles, and they all huddled in the living room as wind lashed at the windows. Boredom eventually took hold, and Eli decided to show Clara his secret mission, mapping out the basement. The basement was cold and stone-lined, with a single hanging bulb and shelves filled with dusty cans and old tools. But this time, when they crept down the creaky stairs with flashlights in hand, they saw something that hadn't been there before. A black wooden door at the far wall, rotted around the edges, with an iron ring for a handle. "I swear that wasn't there," Eli muttered, walking towards it. Clara didn't answer. She had gone pale. The door had no frame. It just was there, like someone had painted a perfect rectangle onto the wall, and then it became real. Despite Clara's pleas, Eli tugged the handle. It opened with a sickening groan, revealing pitch blackness beyond. The flashlight beams barely pierced the gloom, but something was visible. A narrow hallway, made of stone, descending deeper than the foundation should allow. "We shouldn't," Clara whispered, but Eli was already stepping inside. They walked slowly. The deeper they went, the colder it got. The walls began to sweat. There was no mold, no cobwebs, just smooth, dripping stone and an oppressive silence. They reached a chamber. In it stood a mirror, tall, ornate, covered in symbols. Eli approached, reaching toward it, and then something inside the mirror moved. It looked like Clara, but the reflection smiled when she didn't. Eli jerked his hand back. "Did you see that?" Clara was already running. Eli followed, but when they reached the stairs, the door was gone. They were trapped. For what felt like hours, they wandered the tunnels, always ending up at the mirror. This time, it was different. Now, it showed two children standing behind them, shadows with their same shapes. When Eli turned, nothing was there, but Clara began to whisper, "That's not us. That's not us. That's not us." The reflections began to mimic things they hadn't done. Clara's twin smiled wider and began to scream, mouth stretching unnaturally. Eli's twin turned to Clara and pointed. Suddenly, Clara started choking, falling to her knees. Eli grabbed her, dragging her away. The moment they left the mirror's view, Clara could breathe again. "We need to break it," Eli said, but when he turned back, the mirror was cracked already, from the inside. Upstairs, Helen noticed her children missing the next morning. She searched the house frantically, eventually descending into the basement. No door, just a wall. She called the police. Flyers were posted, but no one believed her when she said she heard knocking from the walls at night. The twins were losing track of time. They found strange rooms, a nursery with rocking chairs that moved on their own, a library filled with books that screamed when opened, and a dining room with rotting food and mannequins posed as a family. Each room tested them. In the nursery, Clara saw her favorite doll from childhood. When she picked it up, it bit her. In the library, Eli opened a book titled "The Real Ones Leave." Inside were pictures of their mother, crying, sleeping, aging. Pages ahead showed her funeral. Eventually, they found another mirror. But this one was cracked wide open, and through it, they could see the basement again. Eli touched it and was sucked through, landing hard on the concrete floor. Clara didn't follow. She was staring at something in the mirror. Her reflection hadn't moved. It stayed grinning, then walked forward as if toward her. Clara tried to run, but her feet were stuck to the ground like tar. The last thing Eli saw, turning back, was the mirror sealing shut and a different Clara standing beside him. She blinked, smiled. "Let's go upstairs," she said. Eli hesitated. What just happened? Clara looked at him. Nothing. It was just a bad dream. Life resumed. Eli and Clara never spoke of the mirror again. She acted the same, mostly. But sometimes, when their mother wasn't looking, Clara would whisper strange words to herself or watch Eli sleep from the hallway. One night, he awoke to find her digging behind the basement wall with her bare hands. "What are you doing?" he asked, trembling. She turned, her eyes completely black. "Letting the others out," she replied. Three months later, Helen reported her children missing again. The police found the basement wall shattered. In its place, a dozen doors, all open, and from behind them, whispers and footsteps. It was supposed to be a normal weekend at Hollows Point, a sleepy coastal town where storms rolled in like clockwork during autumn. Adrian Cole, a retired photographer, had invited his old friends, Mara Ellison, a local teacher, and Caleb Price, a paramedic, to his cliffside cabin for the first big storm of the season. They gathered in the living room, rain peppering a wide glass windows. The horizon was a bruised shade of violet, clouds rolling in like a tide.
You hear that?
Mara asked, cocking her head. "It's just thunder," Adrian replied, sipping his coffee. But Caleb frowned. "No, that wasn't thunder." Something deep and distant had groaned through the wind. It didn't sound like nature at all. By nightfall, the storm had swallowed the coastline. Lightning forked the sky, revealing strange shadows rippling within the clouds. At first, they thought it was just tricks of light, swirling darker patches among the roiling gray. But as another flash lit up the heavens, Mara gasped.
Wings.
She whispered.
Those are wings.
They saw them more clearly now. Enormous, tattered things, moving in deliberate arcs inside the storm. Sometimes there were 2, sometimes 5, sometimes too many to count. And in that brief illumination, Adrian's camera caught one of them in perfect detail. A creature with the silhouette of a man, but a hunched back, spined wings, and a head that bent too far forward, like a bird of prey smelling blood. Its eyes reflected the lightning like glass. The rain intensified, and so did the sound. That wasn't thunder. It was beating, slow, heavy, rhythmic, like 1,000 wings in sync. Later that night, Mara excused herself to the bathroom. The power flickered, and she found herself standing in darkness, lit only by the pale flash of lightning through the frosted window. That's when she heard it, scraping like claws dragging against glass. She froze. Another lightning flash revealed something pressed against the small window. An inhuman face, mouth slack, with rows of thin, needle-like teeth. The wings were folded tight around its body, feathers wet and ragged. Its eyes were not eyes at all, but swirling black pits like miniature storms. It smiled. The next instant, the wind howled and the window shattered inward. Mara screamed, slamming the door shut, but the thing's hand, too long, too thin, reached under the door, fingers twitching toward her bare feet. Caleb yanked her away just in time. But when they turned back, the hand was gone. The door hung open to the hallway, and there was only silence. They tried calling for help, but the lines were dead. Outside, the storm was now almost alive. The wind carried whispers in a language none of them recognized, deep and wet, like something spoken underwater. Adrian checked his camera again. The last shot he'd taken, just minutes ago, showed something new. One of the winged things, crouching on the cliffside, looking directly at the cabin. Its mouth was open unnaturally wide, as though stretching to swallow the whole frame. Then the lights went out for good. Through the blackness, Adrian swore he could hear footsteps on the roof. Not the patter of rain, but slow, dragging steps. The ceiling above them bulged slightly, dust falling like snow. Caleb, panicked, grabbed the old flare gun from the fireplace mantel and kicked the door open. "Come on, you bastards!" he shouted into the screaming wind. A lightning flash revealed at least 7 of them in the sky, circling. Their wingspan was easily 15 feet across. They moved with an unnatural, jerking grace, like frames missing from a film reel. Caleb fired the flare. The red light cut through the storm, illuminating every twisted feather, every slick claw. For the first time, they saw the truth. Their faces were all wrong. Each had the face of someone from Hollow's Point, distorted, stretched, and decayed, as if the storm had claimed them and remade them in its image. And among them was Caleb's own face. The roof cracked. Talons punched through the wood. The wind inside the cabin rose to a deafening roar, pulling at their clothes, their hair. Mara clung to the doorframe, screaming Adrian's name, but the air yanked her upward. One of the creatures folded its wings around her midair, and they vanished into the cloud above. Caleb tried to run, but a clawed hand hooked around his neck and dragged him, kicking, into the rain. His screams were snatched away by the gale. Adrian was alone. He backed toward the shattered window, camera still clutched tight. Above, the storm seemed to pause, the clouds opening into a circular void. Inside it, not sky, not space, but an endless black ocean, with hundreds of wings drifting slowly through it like deep-sea predators. And then they all descended. Days later, the storm cleared. Hollow's Point was quiet again. No one had heard from Adrian, Mara, or Caleb. That is, until someone found Adrian's camera washed up on the shore. The last photo wasn't of a winged creature. It was of the cliffside cabin, taken from above, far above, as though from the perspective of something circling in the sky. And in the far corner of the frame, a pale, sharp-eyed figure with vast, ragged wings stood where the roof used to be. Its face was Adrian's.